it came down to telling my students to pursue their dreams and pursue a career that they want to, whether it's to be an entrepreneur or go off to college and study. Like the opportunities are there for you. And I felt like I wasn't doing that myself. So like
Mm.
I was preaching it to them, but then I'm over here not doing what I'm telling you to do. So I felt like it was time for me to like, as if a kid of mine came and told me like they wanted to jump all in on an idea, but they're scared of it, I would encourage them. And I felt like I wasn't living what I was giving them advice on.
Are you ready to explore soul-centered sustainable living in today's reality? I'm Leslie Rangel, an Emmy-nominated Latina TV journalist turned emotional health and spiritual movement coach. Join me on The News Yogi, where we'll have conversations celebrating authenticity in a world that demands perfect curation. So come as you are, familia, not who you're expected to be. New episodes every Monday on your favorite platform. Hey, familia, welcome back to The News Yogi. This is a space where we explore the world, our lives, some of those headlines, but through the lens of our nervous system with curiosity, a little bit of care, and a little bit of love. And today I'm so excited to be talking with Alondra Solis. She is one half of the Cuídate brand, a first generation Latina who actually left teaching in the classroom to dive into entrepreneurship. She's one of the co-founders of Cuídate. It's a clothing line that's like a hug from 1,000 loved ones miles away. We talk a little bit about her journey, what burnout felt like, and how she's building joy in her mission and in community. I am so excited to dive into this episode. It felt like I was catching up with one of my long lost cousins, and I'm so excited to share a little bit of her magic with you. So here is my conversation with Alondra. Alondra, welcome to the News Yogi podcast. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So a funny thing that I have to tell you. So obviously I follow you on Instagram, and I thought for the longest time that your name was Alondra because that's what your Instagram name is.
Yeah, so honestly, so many people think that. I go by like Alejandra, Alondra. I mean, Alejandra Ali, and
Yeah.
then they find out that it's actually Alondra.
Yeah.
But it came from like in eighth grade when Alejandro by Lady Gaga was like so popular
Yes.
that my friends started to say Alejandra instead of Alejandro. So I just stuck around since eighth grade.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. That's all, and I feel like we all have a story, although not me, but a lot of us have a story of like our friends, our family members, or themselves of like having to kind of turn your name into English because, like my mom, her name is Alejandra and I love her name. But she tells everybody her name is Alex. Until recently, she started to reclaim that. And then sometimes I'm like, Mom, why did you name me Leslie? Like it couldn't have been like Alejandro, like something Spanish. Yeah.
It's okay. Leslie's such a pretty name.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And folks have asked like, well, what would you name yourself? And then when I start thinking about names, I'm like, but none of them really fit. So Leslie it is. Yeah, but I'm so excited to talk to you today because, I think especially right now, it's challenging to live and exist in this world. And Alondra, I gravitate so much to you and your sister's project and really business that y'all are growing because it's so beautiful. When we talk about Cuídate and the brand and what your brand means, but I want to start from the beginning and talk a little bit about the journey to get there. Even before that, I always like to start off every episode with asking people, what is bringing you joy in this very moment?
Yeah. So something bringing me joy is probably being creative, like craftsy or like, anything to do with art. I've always gravitated towards that. Since I was like a little kid, I would always just draw to get my mind off of things, or even like in college, I would have professors that would give us essays, but they would allow me to draw a picture because I always told them like I can express myself better with like pictures.
Mhm.
So they would allow me to do like murals or something in exchange for like to cut off some pages of my essays.
Yeah.
So I would say like anything that has to do with like being creative like always fulfills me, like even if it's a quick project or a longer project, like
Mhm.
just picking up a pencil or my iPad and like creating something.
I love that. You're the second person this week, or maybe third, that's talked a lot about creativity. I think that's a sign for me. I need to dive more into creative
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah, it's definitely it's worth a try, to see if it like even if it's like a one-time thing, it's always awesome to like try new hobbies and just see how it makes you feel.
Yeah, I need to check that out. I need to check that out. So, okay, so let's dive right in. So, I think a lot of people who know you from Cuídate, which is your brand, don't realize that you used to be a teacher. Tell me a little bit about that journey and what that was like.
Yeah, so I was a teacher for 3 3, 4 years, whether it was being like a lead teacher or just being like a tutor or assistant. I was always in the education field and
And that's
it's
what you went to
been
school for.
no, so I went to school and I studied Spanish to become an interpreter and a translator.
Mm.
And when I graduated from my bachelor's and I went into doing my certification, it was COVID. So, they shut down the programs and they focused
Mm.
on only keeping like certain ones open. So they closed down my program and which is I was going to take one here at UT when I moved from Illinois.
Mhm.
And since they closed it down, I just got redirected into bilingual education really easily. And my professors always told me, like, supported the whole interpreting and translating, but they're like, you should be a teacher. You should be in education. It's like, no, no, it's not for me. Like, like, thank you. But like, I really want to pursue this route. But eventually, like, I ended up there,
Mhm.
so you always get redirected into where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, what a neat story. So my mom was a translator interpreter, still is, but she worked for Dallas ISD, Dallas School Districts for 30 years and she actually give or take a few on the 30 years, but she helped build out their interpretations program and basically created it. So that's so neat.
That.
And
That's
she listens
awesome.
to the podcast, so she's going to be like, "Yay!"
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's a career I wanted to pursue because I wanted to be the barrier between two people to help them communicate properly,
Mm.
to help with people being misunderstood or mistreated in certain situations just for the lack of communication that there is. So I always wanted to help in that case. And ever since I was young, my parents to this day only speak Spanish.
Mm.
So I always had to be like, me and my siblings have to translate or always help them with any little thing. So it's just a nice feeling to like make someone's day way
Yeah.
easier, if you're able to read and communicate both languages. So yeah, I love that. I love that for your mom. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're very proud of her. So you went to school for that, and then you ended up teaching. What grades did you teach, and what was really the turning point for why you decided to leave the career?
So I taught primarily like elementary. I did preschool for a year.
Mm.
It was so much fun. But then I realized, like, they are a little too young in the sense of, like, you can, have, like, a teaching day, but also it's more of, like, you have to take care of them, like, on a
Yes. Like
child level,
babysit?
babysit. But they were so much fun, so sweet, and I think is what really kept me in school is just being around kids. They're always excited to see you. And I'm the type of person, like, even if I'm, like, having a bad day, like, I'll leave it at the door, and,
Yeah.
like, then I get greeted by my kiddos, and, like, they're, like, excited to see me, and I think staying in elementary made it more fun, more, any little activities you do with them, like, they're so engaged and, like, they're ready to learn. So, yeah, that's definitely what kept me there.
Mhm.
And I would say it definitely like taught me a lot like about myself in the sense of like I didn't think that college me was like, no, like education teaching is not for me. Like I was set and firm on it.
Mhm.
And then to be, redirected in that direction. Then like just having like all these beautiful memories now, like I'm grateful to have like, been around like the
Yeah.
education system.
Yeah. I love that so much, being grateful for what was. I think for so many of us when we and I say this for myself, like I was down a career path of being in TV news and I thought surely one day I'll, be the first Latina on Good Morning America to anchor the show and I didn't quite get to that goal that I once had, but I look back and I'm like, for those years that I was in TV news, it was fun, and I thank myself for having done that chapter, and now I'm on a new chapter, and so I think about that a lot with teaching, and I feel like right now a lot of people, not even only with teaching, but in different careers, there's a lot of burnout that's happening. Like I was looking through some stats and like in Houston, teachers are leaving at a rate 1.7 times higher than the state. That's obviously a really big number. And then Education Week reported that 59% of teachers are still feeling frequent job related stress, more than double than the general workforce. And so I think back to like what were some of the things that you felt when you knew it was time, like, I love the littles and I love teaching, but my heart isn't in it. Because I felt that way when I was in TV news. Like I thought a lot about, well, I'm the only Latina who looks like me in morning news in the city that I live in, and what's that going to mean for my community? And I carried a lot of guilt. What was it like for you when you knew, okay, it's time for a new chapter?
I would say just I think working like, it's not a set like Monday through Friday, like even though like school is out at 3, like it doesn't mean that your day is done at 3. Just like
Mm,
outside trainings or, meetings. And I think I could have like if I wasn't pursuing like a business aside from teaching,
yeah.
I think I wouldn't have been, like, to the level of, like, burnt out as I was, and
Mm,
I kinda had to come down to I love how you said I love representing, like, a bilingual teacher because
mm,
I would always tell my kids, that I had to learn English myself, and unlike for them that they have a teacher like me that can speak both languages, I was thrown into elementary school like not knowing any English, and there was no teacher that spoke Spanish. So it was just like repetitiveness, like they would talk and talk and talk in English until like I eventually like grasped it because no one in the school system spoke both.
mm.
So I think like that representation was hard as well for me to leave because it's like on a level of like I want to make teaching different than it was for me. I want it to be fun and I want it to be encouraging. I also relate on like the representation and like leaving, but it also came down to as much like as I was enjoying teaching, I felt like I wasn't dedicating the time that I wanted to my business.
Mhm.
I was doing it for like 3 Cuídate is about to be 3 years, so it was always Monday through Friday and whatever I could do for Cuídate around that time. And even if I had the time, sometimes I didn't have the energy to do it because I was so
Yes.
tired. But it came down to telling my students to pursue their dreams and pursue a career that they want to, whether it's to be an entrepreneur or go off to college and study. Like the opportunities are there for you. And I felt like I wasn't doing that myself. So, like,
Mm.
I was preaching it to them, but then I'm over here not doing what I'm telling you to do.
Yes.
So, I felt like it was time for me to, like, as if a kid of mine came and told me, like, they wanted to jump all in on an idea, but they're scared of it, I would encourage them. And I felt like I wasn't living what I was giving them advice on.
Yeah.
So, I told myself I wanted to, know leave the education system, but because I also have other dreams,
Mhm.
and those type of dreams come back around to like giving opportunity and also like still representing the kids that we once were children of immigrants or immigrants themselves, to
Mhm.
like be able to branch off and like create something of your own if you feel like there's not a field out there for you that you like, that you feel like you fit in. So to
Yeah.
branch off and create your own table. If you don't see a table like you feel like you fit in, then like just create your own.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm like, louder, louder, louder. I love that so much. Well said. And so now you're in this new chapter. Tell me about Cuídate. I know what it is, but for folks who might not know, for some of the listeners, I'm so excited to know Cuídate and to continue witnessing the brand growing. So tell us a little bit about Cuídate and the beautiful idea of the brand and where the name came from.
So, cuídate means take care in Spanish. And if you're part of the Hispanic community, you know that we say it when you say goodbye on the phone or every time you are about to say, goodbye to someone or like see you later. Like you always just tell them like to take care. So, growing up, my grandma wasn't able to come to the United States.
Mm.
And we would always get to visit her like a few times, but we would talk on the phone a lot. And she would always end the phone call with Cuídate, so it, like, impacted me, even though, like, I wasn't able to have a physical, like, relationship with her and see her, it still, like, impacted me, and I felt like more so because her children immigrated to the United States, so I felt like she was, like, from a perspective of her, like, your family just leaves to a new country. So she's just like, I really want them to genuinely take care of themselves because it's the unknown?
Mhm.
So it came from her. Then also just I've been in a like weight loss journey as well, like the past 5 years, and I've
Mm.
dedicated to like taking care of myself. So in order to like take care of others, you have to take care of yourself.
Mhm.
So it stems around taking care of like your people, taking care of you, doing things that make you happy, like knowing like your self-worth and self-love and all that. So you can like find that fulfillment within yourself,
Yeah.
and like pursue things that bring you joy.
Beautiful, beautifully said. What's your grandma's name and is she still living? Is she and what part of Mexico?
Yeah, so she unfortunately did pass away a few years ago, but it was right like a month before we had like a year and a month before we had like officially established Cuídate.
Wow.
Um, but it was in Zacatecas
Mhm.
and her name was Nicolasa.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Nicolasa. My grandmother too, she has passed. She passed a long, long time ago. Her name was Flor and her nickname is Mama Flor and I carry her with me all the time. Like I feel like she's with me like in the energy of my plants. She's with me when I see butterflies and I was months old when she passed and became an ancestor. But it's so funny because, you talk about even even if they're far away, and by them, I mean our grandparents, it's like the beauty that we can still have relationships with them. I don't know if you feel this after your grandmother has moved on, but I still feel very much connected to mine and I was months old when she passed.
Yeah, I think I feel what you're saying as well, even though I didn't like, physically see her a lot throughout like my life. But I also feel like, they also like raised your mom or your dad? So it's like you still get to know them through like who your parents are, right? Because they
Yeah.
raised them. So
Yeah.
I think that's what also like keeps us connected to them. is like we
Yes.
still have access through like to them through like who our parents are.
Hey, familia, are you taking notes? I sure hope so. Okay, so a quick pause to ask a huge favor. Make sure you're subscribed to this podcast and YouTube channel. It ensures you don't miss any episodes and gets this content in front of more people. So please just take a second, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate your support. All right, now let's jump back into the conversation.
Yes. No, you're so right. I'd never even thought about it that way. Yes, I always tell my mom, like, tell me about Mama Flor and what was she like and what did she do? And it's beautiful because sometimes she'll say, oh, I see some of Mama Flor in you. And that's like it's the sweetest compliment to me.
Yeah.
So, what a beautiful story. And I want to talk about your fitness journey too, because I'm on a similar journey. But so tell us about Cuídate then. So, we know where the name came from. So, what's the brand now? Because I know y'all are doing events now. And what do you really want people to feel when they connect with Cuídate?
Well, we mainly want people to feel like a community or like also just feeling understood in like today's world.
Yeah.
We really want to focus on building a business, a successful business, and being first generation, like just living here, first generation, like um, graduates, first generation business owners. Like we're really building this. We have big goals, but no mentorship.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to reach goals through community, through like connecting with people and
Hmm.
not transactional.
Mm.
We want to provide, a space for people to reconnect with their culture or like be reminded of how important it is to push through hard times in lives whenever it feels like you're being targeted or like your community is being
Mhm.
targeted. So we have been like doing more events, which thankfully has been able to happen now that like I mentioned I left teaching. So I've been able to focus more full time on like what can we do to really help grow and expand our business and like reach out to more people.
Mhm.
So yeah, we did the Miles of Hope in July. I think just seeing the amount of people that showed up to support that made us like really happy, and the
Mhm.
amount of like beautiful words that we received from it.
Mhm.
It's like those type of events that we want to do to bring community together so people don't feel like they're alone.
Yes.
Because I know, thankfully, I have like my sister to talk to throughout rough times, but maybe someone else doesn't have someone to talk to, so just providing community and comfort, and just like never like giving up,
Mhm.
on what you believe is right, like no matter what people say of you, like it doesn't define who you are.
Yeah.
Only you can define who you are through like your actions and like what you do. So I think providing, of course, like merchandise is a way we started, like clothing brand.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a way to, our crew necks are really popular. So like it's like represents like a warm hug from like a loved one who has passed away or a loved one
Yeah.
who's like thousands of miles away. Just being reminded throughout your day to like take care and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have grabbed it and it was right there on the edge of my bed, but I have the Para mi gente
Yeah.
crew neck sweatshirt, which means for my people. And I love that one because I love that some of the proceeds go back to help organizations that fight for immigrant civil rights. And
Yeah.
I also love what you said, like everybody needs community. I think that's really the only way that we can get through hard times, especially like right now. What's that been like for you as a business owner and what keeps you going when there are, I'm outside of the podcast, I am still a working journalist, and some of the stories regarding immigration that I've been covering have been really, really difficult for me too, especially as a first gen daughter of immigrants. What has it been like for you, and what are some of the ways that you're taking care of yourself?
I think it's hard on everyone. I always say to, as much as I preach for people to like stay educated on the topic, also limiting yourself to, I call it doom scrolling,
Yeah.
because like I also feel like there's a difference between wanting to research and stay educated, to know like what you can do and what you can help, but
Mhm.
also where your limit is at and you're not stuck scrolling and scrolling through a bunch of like unfortunate news, because then it puts us in a space where like maybe we can't function as well as we would, you know? So I try to take my space like when I'm researching certain things and like how I can help. But what keeps me going is just mainly how I like my long-term goal of all these amazing like, organizations that already exist, and
Mhm.
all like I want to be able to do is like be able to help. And in that sense, like giving back, it always seems to come down to like the issue is funding in a certain area, right? Funding
Mhm.
for education or funding for immigrant immigration lawyers, or
Mhm.
it's always, I feel like, comes down to like the funding. And I just really think like if these business owners of like, other big brands can build themselves to be so big and decide where they invest their money in, then like I can also build a brand and choose where I want to invest my money in. Like I
Mm.
want to help these nonprofits continue to do like their amazing work, and I want to even like help, leaving teaching. I wanted to help beyond like those four walls, or like beyond my set of kids,
Yeah.
because I know like the real problem is like, the people at the top, where like they are the decision makers on where this funding goes to.
Mm.
And I want to be able to like help if funding is ever like the issue. I want to say like, I built my business, and supporting a business with like right morals will lead us to like less suffering and
Mhm.
hopefully quicker like solutions, like when
Yeah.
it comes down to that.
That's one thing that I really admire about your business is that it's so mission driven and done so in such an unapologetic way. You know, you talk about other businesses, and especially right now we see so many large businesses that are rolling back initiatives to help our communities, communities of color, communities that don't get represented, and they're shying away from things like this. But you as a business owner, I see y'all like, no, we're here, we're loud, and we're gonna say what we believe, and that's really admirable. And I hate to say it, but it's really brave right now in this reality that we're living.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think like our parents, I always say I feel like I don't know what like if like you believe in like reincarnation and like coming back, but I always felt like I had to have been like an advocate or something, like, or
Mm.
an activist like in my past life, for like the way things like truly affect me, but I can't just sit there and like let them affect me. Like I feel like I have to do something, or like at least attempt to do something to like what is like what's the problem, so I need to think of a solution. So I think I try to do as much as I can, but thankfully, we're somewhere higher than what we started off like 3 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
and we've been able to cross off some goals off of our list. And I'm happy to have been able to build like community and support based on like who we truly are and what we stand for,
Yeah.
because I understand that like not everyone's going to support like my moral views, which is like fine. I'm not asking everyone to do it,
Mhm.
but my goal is to influence at least like my community, like my direct community, on what we can do together. Like we're stronger together, and like these bigger businesses would not be anything without the support of like us, because the power is really in the people.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if nobody wants to support y'all's cute Cuídate brand, like for the people that don't, there's like 10 more of us that do. So we are here ready to support. What's your vision for Cuídate? Because I know y'all have some exciting plans. So what I've seen right now is like y'all had the caps and y'all had the t-shirts and y'all had the sweatshirts, but y'all have got more plans.
We are looking into doing like a workout line. We've been
I'm so
trial and
excited.
erroring it. Leggings, sports bras, and it also stems from like how I said, like my fitness journey
Yes.
just ties in with taking care of myself. So I want to also provide a workout line to help encourage like women to go out and work out, feel cute in it, feel confident. And it's like, like for all like sizes. So really just like encourage people, even if you don't want to do like, a full time like fitness, just like in any way, like to get your body like up and moving can make
Mhm.
a big difference on like how you feel.
Yes.
So yeah, we're hoping to soon launch our workout line. Like I said, having no mentor to guide us throughout like changing to a complete different like whole set of fabrics and everything.
Mm.
We really want to focus on what we put out there is truly something that like we're happy and content with.
Mhm.
So we're in the works of it too. So I'm excited. And I think being in Austin, it's like a really awesome city to do that because I feel like I think I saw like Austin's like one of the most active cities. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I'm excited too. And I want to talk about your fitness journey because you said everybody has little things that they do, to de-stress and things. I posted the other day on Instagram. I was like, my therapist said that I need to find ways to release my anger. And so for me lately, I took up weightlifting. It's coming up on a year, and not just like dumbbells, but like actually using the squat rack and using some of these machines that I was so intimidated by. And I can't even describe it. It's not even really self-confidence that's grown. It's like it's just this sense of like power, like inner strength that has built up. And then when I'm angry about whatever, whether it's work related or like another headline that I saw that made me angry, I go in there, I'm like, let me just see how much weight I can lift and like show off. So tell me a little bit more about your fitness journey and is it the same for you? Like, do you feel that same inner, like, just the word that comes to mind is like mujer poderosa, like nobody can get in my way.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I also feel like the same way. I feel like I take the gym to like distress or just like any way I'm feeling. I go to the
Mhm.
gym when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm mad, when I'm
Mhm.
bored. Like, just
Yes.
like in any way I try to reroute myself back to just getting up and like even though it, like, may not solve your problem that you're, like, trying to, like, work around, I just feel like it makes you feel better. Like, I don't know
Mhm.
how to describe it other than just, like, it just helps. Like, even though, like, the problem might be like, it's still there, but at least you feel like you come back to, like it's like a refresh on your brain. Like,
Yeah.
then you had, like, your heart rate going, your adrenaline up, and you're just like, okay, like now I feel better. But yeah, I started my weight loss journey in 2020. It was right when like COVID like happened. And I remember everything was shutting down and we
Mm.
had nothing to do. It was like that first shutdown where everything was closed. You could only go to the grocery store. And
Mm.
like then that's whenever I first got TikTok. So I started like scrolling on TikTok and I just got rerouted always into seeing these girls post their gym workouts. And then I'm just like, that's so sad. Like I never like took the gym serious. And now
Mm.
I don't even know if the gym will ever open up again.
Oh, yeah.
At that time, right? Because I felt like we all like thought like, is this really like forever? Like
Yes.
the beginning of like the shutdown phase.
Yeah.
So I actually purchased an online guide and I started to work out at home.
Mhm.
And then like the first 2 months, I lost like 20 pounds at home.
Wow.
And it was just like with, researching my diet. The guide helped me a lot. Like it told me what like I should be eating, what macros and like at home
Mhm.
workouts. And I really, I spent my quarantine like with healthier habits because I thought it
Mm.
was like the end of the world. And I was like, well, I at least want to try like better things.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then eventually the gyms opened up, so I was
Thank
really
goodness.
excited to like yeah, I was really excited. I was like, "Okay," like, now I was like, "I need to take, the next step," which is, like, going from home workout to the
Mhm.
gym, and then
Yes.
eventually, just keep I kept on going, and, like, I kept doing my research. I was just so invested in, like, "Okay, what's this machine? How do I use it?" So I would just search it up on TikTok.
Mhm.
And, like, I'd be like, "Okay, I'm gonna try it," and it just eventually just became like a project. I say, like, I looked forward to it so much. I kept on doing it, like, to this day,
Mhm.
on and off. Sometimes, like, throughout the years, I will say, like, you fall off, like, you don't
Yeah.
work out for a month or 2, and then, like, you jump back into it, but ultimately, like, I always find my way back to it because I feel like when I don't feel like myself, like.
Yes. Yes. I can totally relate to that. Yeah. One thing that most people don't know about me is I have been on a lifelong like just movement and fitness journey. So when I was in 4th grade, I was 250 pounds and that obviously that's not healthy for a child that's in 4th grade. We had kind of a rough upbringing, kind of. That's putting it mildly. But, one of the ways that I would cope with all of the trauma that was around me was through eating. And through my teenage years, I was up and down in college, up and down. And it took a long time for me to finally love my body and love the way I look, however I looked. And so it's been such a journey. So I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, I love the transition. For a long time, I definitely was into the at-home workouts and I loved them. And I started a weightlifting program, like just same with dumbbells. I think we all probably during COVID went and bought like the dumbbells you could do at home and like set up our little home corner of the gym. And I think eventually, I graduated from that. I wanted something more. So I have an online trainer. Actually, she's based in Houston. She's also a Latina. So shout out Julissa. She's been great. Yeah, she's so great. But it's like you said, I go similar to you. Like if I'm happy, I'm excited to go to the gym. If I'm sad, I go to the gym. If I'm angry, I go to the gym. Like I'm on the Stairmaster, like thinking about something that made me mad. I'm like, no, I can keep going. So it's so good. It's so good just to get your body moving.
Yeah, and I think a big thing comes from, like, being in a Hispanic household. At least, like, my parents
Mhm.
never, like, taught me how to, like, you know never, I feel like, in my line of, like, ancestors did we ever get educated on, like,
Mm.
what is a healthy, like, diet. And I think it just comes from, like, also, like, my family came from a poor family line, so I
Mhm.
felt like for them, eventually, my parents being, like, the first people who immigrated here,
Mm.
and being the ones who first had access to, like, different foods that, like, weren't
Yep.
offered to them. So I feel like it comes from them not being educated also on how to raise us, or, like, raise their
Mhm.
kids,
Mhm.
like, what we should be eating, and
Yeah.
it's not their fault either because, like, they had
Mhm.
other bigger worries. So I think I've also, like, learned to turn my favorite Mexican foods, but I'm like, how can I, like, switch it up a little bit and just make it a little healthier,
Yes.
but I'll still enjoy, it's a balance. I'll still enjoy like all like the amazing, like even if it's not healthy foods,
Yeah.
but then I like always remind myself when it's time to like jump back into like, okay, let's get back on our routine, or like it's
Mhm.
all about a balance,
Yeah.
enjoy life. Don't limit yourself from everything like all the time, but
Mhm.
just like find a good balance like for you to
Yeah.
make you still enjoy life, but also like focus on your fitness.
Exactly, exactly. I love that, I love that. Yeah, I went plant-based 2 years ago, and one of the biggest things that was missing for me were the Mexican flavors, like arroz and different ways to make certain foods, and I recently found a woman who she's from San Antonio, and I always forget the name of her book. I think it's called Comida Casera, but she takes all of her Mexican recipes and has turned them into vegan recipes, and that has been so beautiful for me because 'cause I'm like, I can enjoy these foods, I can enjoy these flavors, but in a way that is good for the type of nutrition that I need in my body right now. So it's always fun turning in, like, those traditional recipes into something that is just more suited for where we are now.
Yeah, I love it. I'll have to definitely check that out
Yeah.
because I'm all about like I said, how can I change this like the
Mhm.
slightest bit
Yeah.
so I could like reach my diet goals.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I want to shift a little bit to what you were saying earlier in terms of being a business owner. How do you stay grounded as a business owner? It's you and your sister, right? It's not like a huge, y'all don't have dozens of employees. um, Being an entrepreneur can be hard. What are some of the ways that keeps you grounded and joyful, and what keeps you going?
I would say I I'm already happy like where I am in life. Like I'm not a materialistic person that's going to sit here and be like when I reach like X amount of this, like then I can be happy, you know?
Mhm.
Like I definitely have goals, but most importantly, like it's always still like enjoying the journey.
Mm,
And it's something I learned through like my fitness too, like as much as like at the beginning, like I just wanted to be like I want to be done with this and I want to, reach my goal and like I wish I could skip this. But
mm,
then once you finally reach a goal, you realize like everything you learned throughout the journey. And I
mhm,
feel like realizing that like the value is in the journey itself, not
mm,
in like once you like reach a certain goal. And mainly just like enjoying like your time with like who you have. Because sometimes I feel like we get so focused on achieving something that like we could take time like granted with other people. And
yeah,
then like I've always said, I like want to make it to my goals, but I want to be surrounded with the people I love. I don't want to
mm,
make it and like be alone because then like the goal means nothing if I
yeah,
don't have like people who I love to celebrate with. So I think just finding like fulfillment and like love like in itself and then the journey rather than like focusing on like where you want to be at.
beautiful reminders. Well, I like to finish off each episode with just a few questions. So, the first question is, how are you living soul-centered or sustainable right now?
I would say focusing on bringing awareness to everything you said, like the news, like you turn on the news and like bringing awareness to it and focusing on like how I can help or how can I create something to like that makes it easier for others that want to help also help.
Mhm,
Um and I would say like just going based off of like, living in the moment versus like seeking like, you know, the future in that
mhm,
sense, like excited for the future, but always like standing in the present and like just being grateful and appreciative for like everything that has happened and
mhm,
everything I've learned, ups and downs, of the past. And just focusing on what I would want to portray to like the next generation. And I think also,
Mm.
like I said, it ties in with like being a teacher. I
Mhm.
felt like if I was never a teacher, I would honestly probably not think so deep into the next generation.
Mhm.
And so you have like all these students staring at you for guidance. Like I feel like that's when you realize like, oh, it's like I'm an adult now. Like
Mm.
I'm not the kid anymore. It's what I say and do and how like present myself to the next generation is going to
Mm.
truly influence them.
Yeah.
So it's like up to us to like, tell them whether to speak your mind and like be an advocate for like
Mhm.
injustices, or it's up to us to show them to ignore it and not do anything about it. And like
Mm.
they both have very different outcomes.
Yeah.
So I think just taking everything from my past and like being grateful for it.
Yeah. That's such a unique point of view. Thank you for sharing that. Sometimes I forget that because I don't have a lot of kids in my like circle of friends and I don't have kids and I don't hang out with a lot of kids and sometimes I feel like a kid, but that's such a unique perspective. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, next question. What is one practice that keeps you connected to your ancestors or your inner child, your inner niña?
I think just talking to my parents and
Mhm.
like recently I went back to Mexico for the first time in like 5 years. And
Wow.
it was my first time going back ever since like my grandma passed away. And like I
Mm.
was ignoring it. I think going back and like reconnecting myself, especially throughout like how everything's going right now, really helped me like refocus myself and remind myself of
Mhm.
who I am and like where I come from. So I think just always, whether it's like playing music or watching honestly like La Rosa de Guadalupe, like, I would
Yes.
always
The
watch that as a
novelas.
kid. Yeah, or like novelas and just like putting it on and like, enjoying like what I would do as like a little kid, just like watching them or like listening to music, or whether it's like playing like Los Bookies when I'm like cleaning my like, my house or something. I think it just helps me like stay connected to like how like the house I was raised in.
Oh, that's so beautiful and it's so important because the reality is immigrant communities are being targeted right now and it's important to remember that our cultural roots are really what make us so beautiful and so unique. And we should be allowed to celebrate that, even in the midst of a lot of fear that can easily overtake us. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And then the last question, what's one thing that you think we need less of or more of?
I feel like we need more love in this
Mm.
world, just in like every aspect. Like love comes hand in hand with like acceptance too, not judging like other people, and just, spreading love instead of hate is something I feel like this world could be less cruel on if
Yes.
like we would teach from like a young age like acceptance and love versus
Mhm.
discrimination and like targeting. I think would make the world very different.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. What's the song? What the world needs of is love, sweet love.
Yes.
Yes. Beautiful. Alondra, how can people support you? When can we order our Cuídate workout clothes? What are all the things? How do we keep up with you?
Yeah, so you can support Cuídate at www.cuidateatx.com, or our Instagram is cuidate.atx. So we'll stay like up to date with all that. We have like first some plans for Hispanic Heritage Month before we focus on the workout launch.
Okay.
But once we get everything situated with that, we'll be posting like a little pre-sale or like a pre-launch,
Yeah.
and letting others know like what's coming and when it's going to be available. And yeah, and just supporting that, helps us like be able to do other events, and it
Mhm.
helps us to invest our time and like money into like giving back to organizations that are really trying their best right now to help in any way they can.
Yeah.
So you can find Cuídate through there. I always have like a hard problem where it's like Cuídate is me, but like then I also have like my personal too, you know.
Yeah.
But my personal is also at Alondra. It kind of goes like tied in hand. Like
Yeah.
eventually they overlap, like you know.
Yes, yes. Believe me, I have my social medias overlap too. I try to keep them separate, but undoubtedly they cross.
Yeah, it all just comes down, it's like it's who we are, right? Like, it's like
Yes.
you like, even though you have, like, all these different accounts, eventually, like, they're ran by the same person, so it
Yes.
just, like, you can decide which one you wanna keep up with.
Yeah. And you also have a fitness one.
Yeah, yeah, I try. It's like I said, I felt like everything was overlapping with my personal,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Okay, well, like, let's keep my personal," and then I was like, "I'll focus on, like, Cuídate here, and
Yeah.
then I'll focus on my workout there," and then it's like eventually, like, well, what
It's
happens
all
whenever
together.
I do a fitness video with my workout gear, and then it's
Yeah.
like it's all together, like,
Yeah.
so it's the struggles of, like, wanting to pursue all different
Everything.
things, like, we're
Yes.
trying our best to organize it.
Exactly, exactly. Well, we're all so excited to support you and however many Instagram accounts you have and all of the projects. And I'm so excited that I get to exist in the world at the same time as you and the beautiful work that you're doing. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you, you're so sweet.
Yes.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to also, like, talk to me and honestly, like, also create your own space where you are talking about topics, that maybe weren't approved in other areas, but
Mhm.
I'm happy to see that, like I said, when you don't find a table to sit at, you build your own,
We build our own.
and you get to choose who sits at that table. So I'm really happy and I'm excited to see like your podcast grow and where it's gonna go.
Thank you. Thank you, Alondra. I receive it all. I receive it all.
Yeah, thank you.
What a fun conversation I had with Alondra. Woo! We talked about a lot of different things, and I hope that they served you well. I hope you can relate to them. And really, though, check out her clothing brand. It is so fun. I always wear the sweatshirt. I'm such a sucker for big, oversized sweatshirts. But I'm so excited and honestly I'm proud of her. I'm proud of what she's doing. I'm proud of the journey that she's on and I'm so excited to continue to see their brand grow. But cuídate to everybody here and thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the News Yogi podcast. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this entire episode. For that, my heart is filled with gratitude. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Spread the word to your friends and fam, whoever may be interested in this topic. This space is for you, familia. If you know someone who'd be a perfect guest, yes, including you, or you have a topic you'd like to see covered in future episodes, visit thenewsyogi.com/podcast. See you next week on The News Yogi.